Chantal recently did a clothing haul during which she showed us several blouses that she just bought. Now, as an introduction to this video, she talked a little bit about her current physique and the challenges that she faces. I thought this was a great segue into a discussion about her health, because as you'll see, it has a lot to do with the way she looks and feels.
And particularly because I have the problem of being uniquely shaped and, quite overweight. So I've been finding it kind of hard, and I've been losing hope of finding clothes that will fit me. Now, normally in Canada, when I would shop at like Pennington's or Torrid or anything like that, I would take anywhere between usually a 4 or 5X. Sometimes a 3X at Maurice's will fit me depending on how baggy fit the clothes are made, but my mom has purchased 3X clothes from Maurice's for me before. But I carry a lot of my weight. I'm apple shaped, and I carry a lot of my weight in my abdomen and also behind. So I'm very round because I'm very short. So yeah, I am pretty round, and that's challenging sometimes to find clothes that fit properly. Now, there are a lot of overweight people in Kuwait, but I felt like I couldn't find clothing that went beyond like a 2 or 3X in the stores. But I did recently find some clothing. I did find a store actually that had some clothing that was on the larger side. So I did find some size 28s online, and I actually did go shopping with Salah, and I found a shirt that was 3X. The guy from the shop said it was 3X, but it's a very baggy fit, so that's why it fits.
Okay, so let's stop here and talk about sizing for a second. Chantal, the only numbers you should be worrying about are your actual measurements, not the size on the labels. And here's why I say that. The website where she's getting her clothing is called Splash. It's a clothing store in Kuwait, and their sizes go up to a 28. I made this video about a month ago to show her that abayas weren't her only modest clothing option. I'll drop a link in the description if you haven't seen it yet. In any case, Splash has a whole bunch of plus-size clothing, including tops, dresses, bottoms, and they all go up to a size that would pretty much fit her. I mean, sure, some things will be a little tighter, but that could just be based on the style. Now, oh look, there's the green shirt, but in yellow. Okay, where was I? Yeah, sizing. So, Splash has a specific sizing guide that'll show you the different sizes based on your body's measurements. Let's take a look at this Torrid size guide in comparison. So go down to the size 28 and take a look at the waist measurements. Now look at a similar size guide from Splash on the right-hand side and see what their 28 looks like. You can see that the Western world has a much more generous cut for size 28. The other thing you can tell by looking at these two charts is that the alphanumeric number, like 2XL or 4XL, has almost no correlation to your measurements, so that number shouldn't really matter much at all. Chantal, my advice to you would be to go to Splash and let one of the sales associates measure you, and then let them choose styles for you that would work best with your frame. That's what they get paid for. Okay, so let's go ahead and get back to what this all may mean about her health. She described herself as having an apple shape, but what does this actually mean? According to this blog post by Harvard Medical School, an apple shape could be indicative of what's called visceral fat. Now, visceral fat is different than subcutaneous fat, which lies just underneath the skin. So if you're able to pinch it, that's the subcutaneous kind. But the other kind, visceral fat, lies well out of your reach behind the abdominal wall. Visceral fat blankets the organs, and it's significantly different than subcutaneous fat deposits all over your body. For one thing, there's a different way to get rid of it. Now, if you look at this diagram, you can see exactly what we're talking about when we describe the visceral fat as being in the center of the body. Now, because it's so deep in your body, you can't just work out locally and expect to get rid of visceral belly fat. You have to exercise in such a way and eat in such a way that your body is burning the visceral fat metabolically. Experts recommend a minimum of at least 30 minutes of moderate intensity activity on most days, and that can mean walking, bicycling, or working out. So as we watch her, if Chantal doesn't start to move just a little bit every day, we can tell that she's not actually working on getting rid of that visceral fat. Now the second way to get rid of it is by eating right, and we know where she stands on that. Her shisha habit isn't doing her any favors either. The more you smoke, the more likely you are to store fat in your abdomen rather than on your hips and thighs, and we all know how much she likes to smoke. In addition to all of this, she should be minding her sleep habits and basically moving more, a little bit every day, and working up to being able to exercise significantly during the week. Now, to accomplish all of this, Chantal is going to need professional help. And this is so serious that she really needs to take a look at the possible consequences. Now, the interesting thing about visceral fat is that research shows it acts like an endocrine gland, and it secretes things that cause inflammation and can be linked to a wide variety of diseases. I'll put a link in the description box so you can read the whole blog post yourself. But just as a takeaway, remember that visceral fat is linked to such things as cardiovascular disease, dementia including Alzheimer's, asthma, and so much more. This is not something to be taken lightly. So, circling back to why I'm making this video in the first place, keep an eye on Foodie's waistline, because that'll tell you everything you need to know about how seriously she's taking her weight loss. This visceral fat versus subcutaneous fat is just part of the big discussion, but until we start seeing her exercise or try to eat right, we'll know whether or not she's actually taking any of this seriously. So, in closing, I'd like to take a look at one of her community posts. She's getting really defensive about her weight and the reactions to some of her videos, and this is what she had to say. I'm not saying obesity is healthy. I'm just saying that people only make assumptions about an obese person's health, but never look at a thin person and say, hey, I bet they have diabetes and a fatty liver. Chantal, we know that you had diabetes and a fatty liver. We know that you still have non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. You're the one who told us. So before you go getting all defensive about any of this, keep in mind that you are choosing to tell us about your health in ways that you may or may not be aware of. Drop me a line in the comments and let me know what you think. I'd love to hear from you, especially if you're a healthcare professional who has some personal insights into any of this. I'll see you in the comment section, guys. Bye.